welcome to the Grassroots Warrior on the Grassroots Warrior Network. And tonight we have these two lovely ladies, and we are going to talk hemp again. And we have a story that they obviously don't want out because they're doing everything they can to stop us from getting the message out tonight. So we're
Yep.
here. Hopefully, we're streaming out. Ladies, I'm going to turn it over. Julie, if you would introduce the lovely Cat, and we'll get this started. I'm going to check
Absolutely.
everything out.
Great. Fantastic. Thanks, Denise. And thank you, Kat, for coming in at such short notice. I really appreciate your flexibility. Everyone, I'd like you to meet my dear friend and my hemptastic dream weaver. And she has been very instrumental in her area as well as across the nation in educating us in what hemp is, how it works, how we can use it within our communities. And Kat reached out to me a while back on something that she saw me on. I don't even remember which one it was, Kat. You'll have to fill us in.
It was Trump's birthday card.
Oh, that's right. So for 3 years now, there's been a collage done for President Trump on his birthday by several different videocasters. And I've done three now. This was my third one. So I think you saw me on the first one. And one of the things that I said was, Happy birthday, Mr. President. And thank you for passing the industrial hemp farming bill of 2018. Was that the one that you saw?
That is the one that I saw, and that's when I decided to contact you. And so
Yep.
then it was a bar in South Carolina after we had a prayer. I'm sorry, North Carolina.
Or North Dakota.
North
Dakota, yeah. It's a Mount Rushmore event. Yes.
We were pretty much planning out a decentralization of hemp, starting in a bar in South Dakota on Atkins. So
Yes.
it's been thank you, my friend. It's so nice to meet you, Denise. Thank you for having me on tonight. We're 20 minutes late getting into this because we just had all sorts of technical difficulties. My husband's over here saying we might be having a tornado. Anyway.
It's going to be called Tornado Mark, if it's anything, right?
There you just went Tornado Mark. So, into hemp, just learning about this wonderful, beautiful plant by the cabal because it's going to literally change the world. And when I started realizing this plant will decentralize our entire economy. When I say that, I don't mean like what I'm talking about is being able to use this plant as the raw material source for everything out there. It's light metals, it's plastic, it's food, it's animal feed, it's everything. It replaces corn, soy, cotton, all uses for lubricants, all uses for fuel. You say, well, what about make it into pellets? You can use it through a simple pellet making machine, adding one egg that's dry. It'll go through the machine, it beats it up, and it comes out in the little pellets. There's no reason that we should be controlled by anymore. They demonize this plant along with marijuana in the last Zoom, which I watched that Julie and Denise did. It was beautiful, guys. It was beautiful. This plant actually fortified that a little bit before. But the decentralization part, I believe, comes in centralized the factory food industry. Right now, there's so many additives and things that are put into the food. Hemp, in its raw food can be, my words here, so many thoughts, so many directions to go. Oils from the plant can be used instead of cooking oil. All your cooking oils are good for us. The flowers that can be made from it, the leafy greens that can be fed to animals. The animals are then healthy, probably not even needing to anymore. Hemp removes the poisonous toxins, eliminating. So if we don't have to use glyphosate on the soil anymore because the seeds that are able to be grown, you could grow anything after growing industrial hemp. So however would, I hope, get on board and start growing. What that's going to do is that's going to pull all the toxins out of the soil. From the glyphosate that they use down in the soil, it kills the bugs, it kills the birds. There's nothing for birds to yield. So the genetically modified wheat, corn, or soy is made to grow in Roundup. So it's sucking up part of that. 2 weeks before they harvest the crops, I'm understanding they spray it again with more glyphosate. And by the way, glyphosate causes cancer. When they do that, they call it burn down. So the crop literally dies. So as it dies, they go back in and they beat up the wheat, corn, or soy, and the plant actually turns. Seeds can be removed quicker and easier. But the problem is it right up into it. It's the last water that it gets before the plant dies. So, and that's fed to most of the animals that are in factory farms. So something to think about with that. It removes the poisons and the toxins to remove radiation. They've used it around Chernobyl, from my understanding. That this is going to cause, once we start using this as our raw material to replace wood, cotton, all of these things. Over 50,000 products can be made from industrial hemp. It replaces the need for PVC, diesel, oil, gasoline, kerosene, jet fuel. Alcohol and ethanol even can be made from hemp.
Yeah. So
eliminating.
Do we have? I think we have some pictures and share that we can maybe do screen, or Denise, maybe you can run those pictures.
Give me just about 2 more minutes and I'll have those ready.
Okay.
So, yeah. I was just pulling that together.
Awesome. And we've got the reverb back right now. So my apologies, ladies and gentlemen. This has been our initial challenge. And so I'm going to mute myself and allow Kat to continue with her fabulous information.
Can you hear me now? Okay. American farmers can literally grow the natural resources that we consume with no toxic chemicals are necessary or produced by making any of these products. So thus the need for, well, there won't be a need for trains anymore, chemicals across the country to poison our backyards. And none of those poisonous runoffs, wells, rivers, lakes, ponds, and streams. It's the growing time on hemp is so short. It can mature in as little as 90 days, even at 120 days. That's 240 days if you put back to maybe a few extra days for harvest and putting it back in. It's possible in a year with all of the different streams that can come off of a hemp plant. The hemp hurd, you have the bast fiber, you have the green leafy, and you also have 4 streams. You're making everything. This is going to turn the building industry on its head. Insulation, you've got drywall, you've got roofing, you've got anything by or wood product, flooring, all of it can be made from industrial hemp. It also can be, Julie's talked about before, I've seen the 3D printers. They actually have printers that are big in the house. This is what they were going to use in one of the islands after the storm stopped because the Clinton Foundation didn't like that. So this beautiful plant has been so demonized. The Delta 8 and Delta 9 that they're putting in there now is actually synthetic. So they've patented something, which is also something I believe Julie's spoken about this before. The plant to be able to control it. You can't patent nature.
Yeah.
Thing to me.
Well, and let me separate there too. When you're talking about Delta 8 and 9, when you say that's a synthetic, that's an add-on to the hemp aspect that then is smoked for the high level. So Delta 8 and 9, what you're seeing in marijuana is actually a spray-on. It's not real marijuana. It's a THC that has been created and synthesized. So not hemp, not the same thing, but we're still witnessing a lot of challenges of synthetic things within the cannabis and industrial hemp industry. I yield.
There's a lot of different streams that come off of the hemp plant. So as the seeds are harvested, seed or as food, they can be used as, my chickens absolutely love it. If I put chicken, these are their two favorite things, hemp seed and blueberries. They usually go for the hemp seed first, but all with those blueberries. The waters and oceans are going to win. It isn't going to be there anymore when you don't have any more polyester stuff produced. Like I said, the building industry is going to go right on its head. The hemp wood, the hempcrete, the hemp plaster, hemp 3D printed. Also, I might mention that it's rot, rodent, and so perfect building material. This is going to build their own homes again. Imagine being able to use 3D printed hemp 3D printed hemp log home, and you could just put it together. The way that a piece of wood would be, those would be stackable with two people on either end, I believe, foot long section. Just put them together like the old Lincoln logs in the game we used. Hemp cars, Julie mentioned that before. Henry Ford, we have a link for you, Denise earlier, so maybe we can put that up for you as well in the chat. He built the entire car out of hemp, and it was running on hemp fuels. The hemp seed cake, when the CBD oil plant is pressed out of the seed, you have a seed cake. The remains after a seed cake can then be fermented and used as what's like corn gas now. Well, if you're going to have the entire country switch over and grow hemp, aren't you going to? I don't know how you replace 50,000 products without growing a lot of hemp. Seed cake idea of pressing is the same as what they use for corn gas. Soil all be pressed that way. They could use all of that as fuel rather than feeding it to animals. But I yield if anybody else has anything.
All right. So since we've been
I
having,
have the pictures already whenever you're ready.
okay, cool. Let's go ahead and roll that, Denise. That'd be great. Thanks.
Okay, let me figure this out here. Hold on.
This is my first time on this. So.
You're doing great. You're doing fantastic.
All right, well, I'm gonna make this happen here. Let's see.
So yeah, Kat, as you see the picture, just tell us what we're walking through. Oh, I see myself there. Okay.
I'm not sure.
I don't want the music. I'm not sure.
I'm stuck without being able to see if I can get it off here.
There we go.
Can you see this one?
Yeah, these aren't my photos though.
Julie, do you want to give one on this real quick, or do you want me to skip back?
Oh,
Well, and I don't even recognize it, so I don't know who put that in there. But
This
one
probably
says
was Scott.
superior for
I'll skip
animal
it.
bedding. Yeah,
okay. I do
this
have
is
something
one
on
for
the-
animal bedding, and it talks about it being highly absorbent. This is something that a lot of folks currently use for high-end horses that equestrian people use hemp for their animal bedding.
Yes, they do. It's the number one choice of the race horses, horse owners. So they're definitely finding out how sustainable it is. It's a better product. It has less dust. The animals have less allergies. Nibble on it. It doesn't hurt them because it's just hemp.
Right.
So that's been a
Kat,
problem.
Kat, here, are you able to see this aspect of the plant?
So this is actually a bast fiber off the plant. When the plant is peeled back, the outer layer is pulled away into the long fibers. The long fibers are used for clothing, weaving carpets, any of the woven textiles, etc. can all be made. You know that industrial hemp rope was what they used. So it is rot resistant to seawater as well.
Right.
Found out recently. Beautiful, beautiful plant. Just talking about all the 50,000 products that we can make from it.
Yep.
There's really in the. So it's the strongest natural fiber in the world. It, as we've spoken about, rivals light steels. So light metals can be a lot less mining. Imagine all the children that won't have to go to work at a mine. Yes. It's going to turn the whole world on its head. You won't need all of that, these styles, the industrial type of paper, foods, body care, building materials. It's going to change. The roots go deep in the soil. It aerates the soil. So your soil is actually growing a crop of industrial hemp than it was before you started. Please. So,
Yeah.
Whoops, the other way. I gotta go the other way. Sorry, my fault.
That's Julie out living in her field.
That's why. Yep, I'm going to go to Kat first, and then we'll go back to Julie's. And this was Kat.
Yeah, there you go, Kat.
Just showing more of the fibers off of the actual plant. So you have these longer. Some of it's yucky, some of it's smoother, some of it's more dry. Just showing the different types of fiber. And it grows quite tall. Pea greens.
Yes.
That's what can be used as animal feed. Imagine baling that, and so it's a healthy animal feed for cows, any hoofed-footed or cloven foot, and they used to do this. They've demonized it.
Sorry about that.
It's pulp
Oh,
per
okay.
acre than timber on a sustainable basis for months. So I don't know why we're not growing this. We don't have the processing plants, though. I will say that we need to get the processing farmers for them when they pull in their harvests. If we don't do that, we're not doing them a good service. All they want, if they can't sell it, they won't grow it. So
Yep.
that is something what my plan would be to go into all of the small towns and find the clothes fair. All of this land that's available sitting there empty. We sent all our businesses to China. We need to bring them back.
Yep.
Raw materials in the hands of entrepreneurs that are going to open these factories and make shoes or make carpets or furniture or weave clothes. We need to bring that industry back here. When we start doing that, I would hope together and create profit sharing businesses. So centralized again, you're just centralizing the control from a small group of people, and you're putting the money in the hands of the many. Enough how much I really think that this is going to change the world. Just everything from food to medicine to literally it's going to change the fact that we're no longer going to need to cut down our forests. They're going to be standing tall. I also had the idea, and I don't know if anybody else likes this idea, but there's a lot of fencing that goes up between neighbors.
Yeah.
What if you could get to live in hemp and it's going to grow in 120 days? You're going to have a 9-foot living fence next. So then
that's brilliant.
If you want to take it down, then at the end, you could. And what if we put all of those living fences, the garbage trucks to come and take, and the garbage trucks could actually take it into the processing and your taxes with hemp.
Love it.
I don't know. Maybe it would work. Maybe imagine all the garbage cans that wouldn't need to be made out of plastic, or maybe the park made from that, or repave the buildings, park play equipment. What do you need? There's a product to be made from hemp. What else do we have in here? I'm looking at your picture.
Well, and I don't know that people realize this aspect, but our original plants within our houses and hemp that they used for artists and everything, those were made out of industrial hemp seed. And then later on, when the petrochemicals came out, all of a sudden we've got a problem with lead poisoning of paint. And if we had just stuck with our original hemp, never would we have been having so many poisoning issues. Of course, that's a whole other different topic we can deep into.
Can you imagine making a whole boat out of hemp? You could
Making it what?
You could 3D print a boat instead of using fiberglass. So there's a lot of things.
Yes.
Vinyl's going to become obsolete. You can vinyl or plastic with that hemp. I really am. I want to see people jump on board, and I can imagine just taking a 5-pound bag of hemp dust full and letting play with it as clay. What can you make with this? Here, pass it out to entrepreneurs. What can you do with this?
Yep. So, Kat, answer me this. What can people do if they're not a farmer right now? Where can they go find these elements within their community?
To go find the hemp elements within their community?
Mm-hmm.
What are you asking?
Like already created products, or find people who are creating products in their local community?
Start is it's going to have to be a grassroots effort to get your community together. Your community would like to, or has a closed factory that used to build that's closed down in your area. Maybe you get your neighbors together and you crowdfund it to an investor. One small town speaks about this whole idea of, and I love what, I can't think of his name. Michael Tucky's got to share.
Michael Tellinger.
Yep. There it is. There's that echo from sharing information. He shares on his small town, about contributionism. And the idea is you spend 4 hours a week working, you share that time with your community. Like, if even just 100 people out of several thousand were committed 4 hours a week, you'd have 400 hours per week service. What would you create? I mean, it's mind-blowing society, not just in the U.S., but worldwide. You think that we would eventually come to a point where we wouldn't need money. And self-governance, when we start taking control for our absolutely realizing that everything we do affects everything else, and do not trespass against one another, this world is going to change, and you're going to see. Now, I do believe, that's my opinion. I stand by that. It's part of all of this. Our flag, our original flag, made on fibers. Our original Constitution, paper.
Yep.
We're also using hemp oils to make the ink stay. Something like you were saying that's been 100 years. They've actually dug up bodies and they're still wearing the Levi's shirt and pants, and you could tell.
Right, because Levi was one of the very first folks that made the first jeans were made out of industrial hemp. Levi Strauss.
Yeah. There was a border town somewhere that had a guy that they dug up and they stood him up like his. He was still wearing the clothes. They thought it was interesting.
Gotta love that.
Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
So this beautiful tank behind me is my husband's creation. It's all fresh water. Those are all, lots of guppies. They all came from 5 fish.
Wow. That's a lot of fish from 5.
You know, that's another interesting part about this whole thing with the industrial hemp too, is teaching people about the soil. So there is a gentleman, his name is Mike, and he invented a thing called the Green Power Lodge, which I can't remember what that one was, but he's discovered algae biohost mixed together. You in 1 week you can have terra preta soil, thick soil, it would take like 300 years to get that microlife in there to do that. So we experimented in my fireplace here with so what we did was we started with we actually used a tomato juice can, even putting it in a second can. We took the can, opened it up like you would like Popeyes with the lid flapped up, stuffed it full of wood, put the flap on it, stuck it in the fireplace, and built a hot fire all around it. And we took that out, and then we're kind of crunching it up and leaving the big chunks in our flower beds, and put some tank here. Actually, out of the sump in the basement, there's this much water in the basement that runs the. And we've been putting that into our garden, and it's a.
Oh, we froze up.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I think it's her.
Oh no.
They just don't want her talking.
No, they don't. No,
and guys,
they don't.
we really apologize for the audio tonight. That's why we were late starting, and obviously it's still an issue. So
Yeah.
I've done this multiple times and never had this problem, so I'm not sure what's going on. But I see her, but she still looks frozen.
Yep. Unfortunately. Doggone it.
Well, do you want to go through those couple of pictures?
Sure,
That
we
we
can do
have
that.
left?
Yeah, maybe she can
Let
come
me
back
get
in.
this ready again.
Okay. So I think some of you know, last year my friend and hemp partner Scott grew a field up in Iowa. And so what we're going to be seeing here are going to be a couple of the pictures that we took from his field, and where then his field was then turned into fiber that was going to be used for fabric. And so that's what happened with his field last year. So it was our very first one. It went well. It grew very quickly. And we've got some connection with some companies, specifically Whitefield Global, that helped and assisted him. So here it is as we're taking down the crop. I'm taking a knee with my sword, Excalibur, in the hemp field. That's not how you take hemp down in the field, ladies and gentlemen. There is a new, easier way. They finally have upgraded as far as one of the challenges of hemp has been in pulling the fields down, because it's such a strong fiber that manually, physically, is a very labor intensive field to pull. And so several years ago, they came out with a machine called, I believe it's a decorticator, that goes in and pulls it down much easier and shorter amount of time. So here I am standing in Scott's field with my new hat, How Earth Makes Products, the new acronym for hemp. So yeah, that was a good time. You can go back one if you wouldn't mind, Denise.
This one here, okay.
Yep, that one. So that one again, that discusses the oils and the paints that can be made out of industrial hemp, the body care, shampoos. I used hemp shampoo on my hair just today. It's just an amazing product, that a plant made into products that are then much healthier for our entire physical system, not just ours, but the animals that we share this planet with as well. And all of this again was taken down in 1937 when they decriminalized this beautiful plant. So yeah, let's see what other pictures we have. I can't recall. Outstanding in my field. So this goes into a little more detail as to what part of the stalk can be used for the paper, how it breaks down the leaves, how it breaks down the flowers and the seeds, like Kat was discussing earlier, as far as the hemp seed oil. And I love that she did bring up that it can also be made into carpets. I mean, look, brake clutch linings, composite parts, uh, diapers. Yeah, let's do that, right? Just amazing, different, beautiful things that, and I want to remind people too, again, that within our physical bodies, within the human body, we have something called an endocannabinoid system. And that system has been created by God for us to take in this beautiful plant and allow it to assist and help in our level of health and our connection to Mother Gaia. And so within that, I like to compare, so God gave us this beautiful endocannabinoid system, canna being cannabis, right? Well, what we never received was a pharmacanoid system. And so therefore, I just feel like is just the most beautiful, complete plant that God has given us and put on this planet a long, long, long time ago. Hemp has been used within back China 10,000 years. They were using industrial hemp to make different aspects of their society. So it's one of the hardiest of the plants. It can grow in almost any type of environment. In the United States, it will grow almost everywhere within the United States. Okay.
And another thing while we're on this one here, also the frequency. Most people don't realize that hemp and cannabis grown is at a frequency of about 535 hertz. So if all this stuff we see on our screen in front of us was made out of hemp, can you imagine how much higher our frequency and vibration would be, and probably how much healthier and happier the planet would be? Because like we mentioned on the first show we did on this, about how they have depleted the earth's core and surface of this plant, that it needed it for the chemical makeup and correct structure. So, and they took that away so they could have pharmaceuticals.
Yes. Pharmaceuticals. You're absolutely right. So this just goes into even more pretty picture detail as to like the hemp cake, different types of feed for our animals, and flowers. I mean, this just so amazing. Just beautiful, beautiful product. Look like Kat might be coming back in.
That's what I was wondering. Let's slip her back in and see
Yeah.
what we got. Okay, I have to close out of this to do that.
Okay.
Until I get a different screen here. Get rid of this and bring her in.
There she is. Hello, darling.
I'm back.
Yay.
Yay.
This is my front yard, what the storm looks like. I don't know how well you can
Whoa, right now?
Yes.
Holy crap.
I literally have water coming down my chimney. It's crazy out the backyard. My chickens are standing in little bits of water.
Oh.
I think they went up in their coop now, but they're happy little chickens. We've had hail tonight and some branches down, and they're trying to throw it all at us.
Trees down on Lake Road with the cars up and down the street.
So I love what you guys are talking about. I was backstage. Woohoo! Backstage. That's so funny. The cabal has hidden the fact that back in the days of Egypt, on the walls of the temples, there was pot leaves. The guy with the bag in all of the hieroglyphs, That was the medicine man. Guess what was in the bag? It was
Yep.
marijuana.
Yep.
They knew about the medicine. They knew about this plant.
Yep.
So much of their clothing, the mummies were actually wrapped in hemp. How do you think they were preserved for all this time?
Mm-hmm.
So if it could last 2,000 years on a mummy, can you imagine? We've been robbed of this plant.
Yes. And that's also what they embalmed, what they had on Jesus's tomb as well.
Yes.
They found cannabis oil and embalming fluid maybe made with cannabis. They found that on his shroud.
Yeah, the beauty products that I've used that have been made from hemp it's the most wonderful soap. It has this wonderful feeling to it, and it leaves your hands softer than before you washed them, and it feels like you put lotion on, and you didn't even have to because it was just the soap. The hair products, amazing silky hair. For some people, it might be a little too silky because if you want that extra body, maybe you don't want that, but most people do. Wow. I am so excited to see what comes next. Next steps are going to be awesome.
Yes.
When people start banding together in their local communities and realizing that they can grow the raw materials. I mean, think about it, really. If you did what I was saying before about growing a living fence, the back 2 feet of your property, maybe I got sheds back behind me. I could put up 2 feet of hemp back there, grow it 9-12 feet tall, cut it down after 120 days, put it out on the lawn. Can you imagine? And my whole community would benefit from the little bit that I grew and the little bit the next door neighbor grew and whoever else chose.
Yep.
If you choose to participate, if you don't want that, that's fine.
I think that's a great idea. That's a brilliant idea.
You can process industrial hemp, but it's very labor intensive without the machines.
Mm-hmm.
The coolest video I found on hemp processing that makes it really easy to understand is the hemp train.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a machine that comes out of Canada. So they put this whole package together. It even extracts the dust off into a stream. It takes the hemp or the herd into one and the bast into another. It separates it all out.
Well,
and
yes, and that's how it started out. And then a friend of ours got wind of it in Missouri, and they brought it down here, and they said it wasn't moving fast enough, so they gave a challenge to the university, and now it's running up to, I think it's 10. It can process 10 acres an hour instead of what the first one was at 4 or 5.
Was it 10 tons an hour?
10, maybe 10 tons an hour. Yeah.
Because originally it was 2 tons an hour, and we thought that was great because that would be the weight of a small car.
Right.
You know, 10 tons an hour would be heavier. Let me think. Would be like my truck and camper together.
I was gonna say. Yep.
That's a lot in an hour.
Yep. And so we're finding people already that are setting up processing plants that are moving this forward. So that's what is very exciting. I would encourage people to take a look at their local communities and see if your university has a hemp research project going on, or that's how most of the communities are getting them right now. The government is issuing these grants for hemp research. So let's use that to our benefit at this point until we can get them all completely fired. But until then, at least the communities locally, almost every state is going to have some sort of hemp research going on at one of their colleges. And so that might be a really good way for people to get involved and find out what's going on locally, how they can support it. Who knows? Maybe you've got a college age student that wants to look into this, and maybe you've got some farming kids that want to look into this crop as well. And let's talk about future stuff. So this is definitely, it's the future as we embrace our past. And this is what I love about this beautiful, like I said, glorious God-given plant. And yeah, Kat, I'm right on page with your sister. It's amazing what next steps we have and opportunities that we can bring to the stage. And again, it was because of the passing of the hemp farming bill of 2018, and that was only done by President Donald J. Trump. So there we go.
I'm keeping myself muted so that you guys get less reverb. I know that sometimes it can be the tank, or maybe it's just the weather. We've been having a lot of technical difficulties.
I can hear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you get reverb when you speak, though?
What's that?
Are you getting reverb when you speak?
If you're on.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can go off.
Denise, what were you going to ask, I think?
That was a good. One comment I wanted to make. So, with our question, honestly, the industrial hemp. So, as this is starting to be produced more and more, are they going to not allow the federal banks, if they're still around, to handle this money? Is it going to be like the states who have legalized cannabis and they can't put their money in the banks? They've had to create new banks, or what's the process for this right now?
Well, it's a many-tiered process right now, and it's almost like one side's waiting for the other to fall in order to fill the need and to take it to the next level. A lot of what some of the people that I'm working with we're doing is educating folks when it comes to the farmers as to how much do you really want to be under your government scrutiny of what you can grow and when. The USDA and the FDA have their hands in the hemp field still, even though it's legal to grow. They're making it very difficult. You have to get certain licenses. Only certain people are allowed to grow. The cost of the licensing is astronomical, and it's in my opinion, it's just a shit show. So, I believe going back to it, it's all coming together at the same time, it feels like. So it's very interesting how this is going to work. I feel like everything's in God's time. And so the financial aspect, I think, is coming about at the same time that we're getting the word out about hemp, and about different things that we can be doing in the future right now to take things forward. So I don't know if that really answers your question, but again, all of this was started about the same time that the Federal Reserve was being introduced. The illegalization, the yellow journalism, all of this, 1937. So you've got actually the early 1900s is also when they were producing and gearing up for the Western medicine. They had all of these extra chemicals left over from World War II. What are we going to do with them? Let's make chemotherapy for people and tell them it's going to make them better, right? And in the process, it kills you slower, and they charge you for it. So, yeah, and that was that again. I've done my research, and I found where all of the medical schools around 1907, 1915, they were starting to be looked at. And that's when they started pushing out anything that had to do with plants and starting to replace it with the chemicals. At the same time, at one point we had, I believe it was like 134 schools, medical schools that we were teaching around the country, all different aspects of frequency, cannabis, plant use within healing aspects. And then they went and took out all of the natural elements of teaching about medicine and helping people within their communities. And they cut down the number of schools to 66. And the main number of schools that they shut down were teaching minors. And so it's been a great travesty of cannabis combined with the uprising of Western medicine and big pharma. And so in the aspect of action that we are taking right now, we are bringing down big pharma, and by propping up this plant that has been given to us from day one. So, and again, it's all tied to the money. It's all tied to the money. That's what got me going on all of this questioning to begin with. Follow the money, follow the money, follow the money. Where's the money lead you back to? It's always going to lead you back to the people that push all of the buttons and make the money, right? So that's the big time. I don't know where Denise went. So yeah, come on in, Kat.
I think it's interesting to know that this plant also uses 90% less water than cotton. It doesn't need the pesticides or the fertilizers that
Right.
cotton needs either.
Or the bleaching element.
Correct.
Right,
So
which is
we figure all of those chemicals that are not needed anymore. It's just amazing to know that we're going to have a non-toxic world when we start doing this. The element of control that's been there by controlling natural resources, gas, oil, everything we use is controlled. Plastics. And then if you look into plastics on the numbers on the bottoms of the containers and you look up the plastic codes for that, they're putting soap in a container that should be used for food and vice versa.
I just saw that. It's so disgusting, and people are like all about their little recycling numbers and everything. And I'm like, it's a joke. It has been a joke from day one and a big lie.
So the thing about that with the recycling too is it needs 60% more oil to recycle 40% of the plastic. So why would you want to pump more oil out of the ground? It just doesn't even make any sense. And most of the plastic doesn't get recycled because it's not clean enough or it had other things mixed in with it. Here they used to do a recycling program and people were pretty diligent about putting all their bottles and washing out the cans and everything. And they did it for a while and they kept breaking the machine because little parts of something would get in there and mess up their machine, and they didn't want to do the hand sorting in order to run it through the machine. So they quit doing the recycling program altogether. We still have the bins. You can throw your plastic in there, but I guarantee it's all going to go into the landfill up there in the county.
Well, and I'm not so sure that doesn't happen everywhere across the country too, and they just don't know about it.
Right. And there's been places where they caught them just dumping the stuff right into the rivers. There was a video that I saw that was leaked years ago where they were taking, this was in the Amazon, not in the US, but they would take the garbage truck, just dump it right into the Amazon River and just dump it there. Amazing. Amazing. The stuff that's gone on is just unbelievable.
Yep. Well, what can you leave us with some parting thoughts of hemp for the future? Hemp, hooray.
Hemp, hooray. Absolutely. My hemptastic dream, as the hemptastic dream mover, I believe that we need to go take these ideas to our communities. Talk about this with the people that you know. See if maybe there's people in your community that you might want to start a a group with. Maybe it's a sewing club, or maybe it's something to start an actual factory. Maybe you've got farmers in your area and you want to put together a hemp processing plant. There's an awful lot of closed lumber yards. They would be absolutely perfect to turn into hemp processing plants. The buildings are already there. You could store the hemp in its different forms before it's trucked out. You collect all of the bast fiber over here, all of the herd fiber over there. We have a Carter Lumber up the street from us, and that was one of the projects that I wanted to do for Ohio. Also to use it in all of your building, like we were talking about before. Can you imagine if you have a house that it's unlivable? Maybe it's eaten up with ants or termites or whatever, and it's falling down. One wall at a time could be replaced with industrial hempcrete.
Exactly. Yep. And hempcrete is so clean and almost fire resistant. So, yep, it's a beautiful, beautiful product. I wanted to share and remind people we do have a Telegram page, Kat, Scott, and I, and it's called A Love for Hemp Life, and it's spelled ALUV, the number 4, Hemp Life. We also have a chat on there where we drop resources and people can ask us questions. One of the things that Kat just brought up was the process of turning lumber, old lumber mills into processing plants. We have people on board that can assist in helping us identify those plants, but also assist in helping to retool. So we're calling out everybody that has a feeling in their heart of, hey, this is something that I really feel called to do and learn more about and support my community. And so we really encourage everybody to learn more about hemp in your local community and drop us a line. Again, it's A Love for Hemp Life. It's a Telegram page, and we'd love to see you guys over there. And hopefully we can get Miss Denise back to close us out today. Kat, I want to thank you so much. You did a fantastic job, and I hope that you guys didn't get too much hail damage out there. But there was massive interference, but we have persevered, and so you did a wonderful job, and thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been beautiful to be here with you guys tonight. Thank you so much for having me on. This is a passion of mine. Connecting Consciousness is a group that I've been involved with, and I think you have a little bit too. So we're going to be having a meetup soon and speaking about this with the local community and sharing that. We were sharing in East Palestine about the aspects of hemp that would be helpful to clear soil and things there, and also talking about the water there, because their water was contaminated by the derailment. So water hyssop is a good one to pull it out of the soil, or excuse me, out of the water, and also cattails. They remove the toxins from water. So if anybody has a dirty pond, that's how you do it. That and moving the water. So lots and lots of good things that we are finding out, and just, it's so good to be able to share with people things that we don't know. I am blessed to be able to share with you, and I am blessed to be able to be shared with. I learn something new every day from people.
I do too. And this is why we continue to do this, is to share what we know and to learn more from each other. It's a beautiful, beautiful time to be alive, and to be able to bring this beautiful plant to comprehension of everyone, knowing what it is, how it's been hidden, and that it's time for it to become glorious again. And I see that we have Denise rejoining us just in time.
Guys, they have kicked me off. I had to reboot.
Wow. But
I'm
we kept
sitting
going
here
this
listening
whole
to
time.
y'all from my
Yeah.
phone on Rumble. The wonderful thing is, it isn't like Zoom, where if I lose my connection on Zoom, it takes everything out.
Everybody,
This just
yeah.
keeps going. But last time we did the show with Scott, I got kicked out then too, and I'm not real sure
Yeah.
why my camera is not working. But anyway, I didn't know how we were even going to close the stream out because you don't have those capabilities to end it.
No, I
So
know. So I'm glad you came back in so we can end it. Thank you, Denise.
Why did they keep kicking me out and I have no picture?
That's okay. We'll just keep talking.
Yeah,
That's
right.
hilarious.
So, is there a way to get this live stream down into edited pieces so we can edit out all the faux pas?
There is a way to
do that. Okay. We'll have to find a video editor.
Well, ladies,
so much.
thank you so much. This is great. And next time we will overcome these audio difficulties and technical difficulties. And guys, thank you. I will get those links up in the description here very shortly this evening. And as it renders, I'll get it up. And thank you. Thank everyone for tuning in. And we will be back again in the near future touching on this. We want to get the word out about it. We need to awaken the masses about this. People do not realize what we have lost out on in the earth, and the lack of what we need in our lives is this. So luckily I live in a state in Virginia where they have legalized, so recreationally and medicinally, for cannabis and hemp. So we're good.
Yep. Missouri too. We're getting there. Slowly but slowly.
Yes.
So here's an interesting thing about Ohio before we cut. They actually want the GPS coordinates of your field if you're going to grow hemp. So could that be because they want to spray it?
Probably. That's
Sorry.
that's a part of the whole educational process that we all need to know, that the government is still trying to continue to do, even though we are totally able to, and we have the right to grow this plant. And the governmental oversight, this is part of my mission, and my passion is educating people about how to stand up and do not comply. We don't need to do this. We do not need to comply with whatever they're throwing.
Correct. And
So-
something else I got involved with is the Jural Assembly here in Ohio. And Jural Assemblies need to be formed all across this country to be able to kick out the cabal. Bonds for the Win is another great way of doing this. You take their bonds. It's not related to hemp, but it's related to freedom. So
Completely.
people to look into that.
The invisible bonds of financial bondage and governmental bondage, right? So that's what we're fighting against right now.
Yes, it is. And, things are moving quickly. It's going to be interesting. So I would, what happened in Maui, hate to say it, but I think there's more of that coming. I don't think it's done, unfortunately. So.
I agree. Yep. But this is, I love that we have platforms like this and opportunity to connect, and still know that we're not alone out here as we go through the crazy, right? So I want to do a big shout out. I hope everybody will subscribe and start watching Grassroots Warrior Network. It's a way to get information to people and connect without being censored. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be here tonight and in the near future.
Yes, thank you, ladies. Thank you very much, Kat. Thank you, Julie. And have a great evening, great weekend, and same to our audience. And We'll see you again real soon. Thanks.
Thanks, guys. See you
Bye.
soon then. Hemp, hemp, hooray!
Hemp, hemp, hooray.